Abini held her breath. Pressed flat against the cool hardwood floor beneath the enormous mahogany bed, trying and almost failing not to laugh. Her white wedding dress, still untouched since the ceremony, billowed around her like a cloud. The veil snagged on the box springs above her head, but she didn't dare move. If Omari sees me like this, looking like some tiny angel crawling out from under the bed, he's going to have a heart attack, she thought, imagining her new husband walking into the room. He'd search every corner, calling her name with that worried tone he always used, until she popped out with a triumphant surprise. Then they'd both laugh until tears rolled down their cheeks, just like they used to. Back then, Omari had been different, lighter, freer, with bright eyes and a laugh that could warm a whole room. He used to show up beneath her window at midnight with his beat-up acoustic guitar, singing the blues until the neighbours shouted threats about calling the police. She would sneak out in her pyjamas and fuzzy bunny slippers, and the two of them would sprint down the street, giggling like teenagers, even though they were both comfortably past 30. The bedroom door creaked open, but instead of her husband's familiar footsteps, Abini heard the sharp, unmistakable clack of her mother-in-law's heels. Zola swept into the room with the same commanding aura she always carried. Like this was her space, her kingdom, and she was its reigning queen. "Yes, Shanice, I'm home now," she said into her phone, lowering herself precisely, deliberately onto the edge of the bed, directly above Abini. The springs groaned in protest, forcing the bride to flatten herself even more against the floor. No, absolutely not. The girl turned out to be very docile. Too docile, if you ask me. Zola's voice sharpened, dripping with judgment. Omari says she's practically an orphan, that her daddy is some nickel-and-dime engineer at a plant, barely scraping by. I even went to see her place myself, a hovelsome run-down building way out in Dekar. A shame, truly. But now my Omari has leverage. Abini felt her blood turn to ice. Docile? Orphan? They weren't just wrong. They were insults twisted into strategy. Her father was an engineer, yes, but not just some engineer. He was the head of design at Kinetic Designs LLC, a defence engineering firm. A brilliant, modest man who never bragged about the influence he carried. The old apartment Zola had snooped around in wasn't even where they lived. It had belonged to Abini's late aunt, Clara. Her father kept it. Out of sentiment, he'd grown up there. Their real home was a spacious 3-bedroom condo in Buckhead. But Abini had never felt the need to display any of that to her future mother-in-law. She wanted to be loved, not measured. "You understand, Shanice? The plan is simple," Zola continued. There was a soft click, a lighter. The scent of smoke drifted under the bed. Omari had sworn she quit 10 years ago. They'll live together for 6 months, maybe a year. Then Omari starts claiming they're incompatible. "I'll play my role, say the daughter-in-law disrespects me. Talks back, can't cook, keeps a messy house. You know, the usual script." She exhaled smoke, voice turning smug. They'll separate amicably. And the condo, now that it's in her name, will claim it in court. Omari put up the money. We have every receipt. Besides, the girl won't fight back. What can a little country mouse do against us? Omari and I have the whole thing mapped out. Her phone buzzed again. "Hello, Omari. Yes, son, I'm in your room." "No, your brand new wife isn't here. She's probably off celebrating with her friends." "Don't worry. She can't escape now. Ring on her finger. Name on the certificate, done deal. Bird in a cage." Zola's voice took on that smug, satisfied lilt Abini had always mistaken for elegance. "Just remember what we discussed. No weakness from day one. She needs to understand who runs this house. And don't you dare fall for her little tears or tantrums. They're all the same, give them an inch and they snatch a mile. Drive safe, son. I'll stay a little longer. I'm going to smoke. I'll open the window so the smell doesn't linger. Wouldn't want your delicate little wife to start complaining." Under the bed, Abini felt the world collapse around her. She trembled not from the cold, but from betrayal, rage, and a disgust so deep it made her stomach churn. The man she trusted with her life was a fraud, worse, an accomplice, and the signs had always been there. She remembered how Omari insisted the condo be put solely in her name. "Baby, it's just easier for the paperwork, and I want you to feel secure. It's yours." He had kissed her forehead so gently, and she idiot that she was believed him. She thought of Zola too, of her probing questions about her parents. "You don't have anyone else left?" "Oh, what a tragedy. Poor little girl." She thought it was sympathy. In reality, it was assessment, the cold gaze of a predator sizing up easy prey. Zola rose from the bed. heels clicking across the floor. She paused in front of the mirror. "Don't worry, Shanice, patience. I put up with my late husband for 30 years until he finally kicked the bucket, and now the house, the properties, the accounts, they're all mine. He thought I was some country bumpkin only good for making soup. Let this one think the same. Makes it easier." She let out a sharp, nasty laugh. "Well, darling, I'll let you go. I'll call you tomorrow and tell you how the lovebirds' first night went. If they even find each other." The door shut behind her. Abini remained frozen for a long moment, afraid to breathe. Then slowly she crawled out, sat on the floor and wrapped her arms around her knees. The wedding dress was covered in dust. The veil was torn, but none of that mattered. The only thing that mattered now was deciding what to do. Her first instinct was to run, grab her things, flee the house in her wedding dress, disappear into the night. But something else stirred within her, a cold, focused resolve. "No, sweethearts," she murmured, rising to her feet. "You messed with the wrong one." In her small wedding purse, her phone waited. With shaking hands, she opened the voice recorder. Thank God she had started recording when she first heard Zola's footsteps, originally wanting to capture Omari's reaction to her surprise. Now she had an ace. But an ace wasn't enough. She needed the entire deck. She quickly changed into jeans, and a sweater folded the wedding dress and stowed it away, then opened her laptop. Omari wouldn't be home for a while. She intended to make every second count. Her first call was to her father. "Kamo!" He picked up immediately, concern crackling through the line. "Princess, why aren't you asleep? It's your wedding night, why are you calling?" "Daddy, I need to talk seriously. Do you remember when you offered to put your share of the company in my name?" Silence, heavy, sharp. "Abini, what happened? Did that idiot do something to you?" "Daddy, not yet. But I need a guarantee. Can you meet me at the notary tomorrow morning?" "Of course, baby girl. And we'll transfer your Aunt Clara's condo into your name too. I already have the paperwork ready." "Thank you, Daddy. I'll explain everything later." "No need. The minute I met that Omari, I knew he was an opportunist. And his mother. Don't get me started." "But you wouldn't listen. You were in love." "I wasn't," she whispered. "Daddy, I wasn't." Her next call was to Zola, her best friend, her lawyer. "Zola, I'm sorry to call so late. I need a quick consultation. If a condo is in my name, and I bought it before the wedding, does my husband have any right to it?" "Abini, what's going on? Are you already talking about divorce?" "The wedding was today." "Zola, please. Just answer. If you bought it before the wedding, and it's only in your name, it's legally separate property. He can only claim anything if he proves he invested in renovations or improvements." "Why, what's happening?" "I'll explain tomorrow. Can you stop by my place around 10? "Of course, girl. Hold tight." The line went dead just as the front door slammed. Omari was back. "Aini? Baby girl, where are you?" His voice echoed through the house, worried, frantic, fake. Now that she heard the truth behind his performance, she couldn't unhear it. Abini walked down the stairs, forcing her expression to stay soft. "Hi, my love. I was just tidying up and changed clothes." Omari pulled her into a hug and kissed her. It took everything in her not to stiffen. "Why are you so cold? You freezing?" "I'm just tired. Let's go to sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a heavy day." "Heavy? We're on vacation for 2 weeks." "Yes, but the condo is new. We have to organise everything." She paused, watching his reaction. "By the way, your mother was here." "She was looking for you." "My mother?" His voice tightened like a wire snapping. "What for?" "I don't know. I was in the shower. I just heard the door." "Maybe she left a gift." He didn't respond, but his jaw worked in a tight rhythm. They went to bed shortly after. Omari fell asleep in minutes, breathing deep, peaceful, unbothered. Abini, however, lay awake in the dark eyes, wide open, her mind moving like a machine. 2 weeks of vacation. 2 weeks to gather proof, secure her assets and discipline the predators who thought she was prey. She knew exactly how she would do it. The next morning, Omari woke her with a kiss. "Good morning, Mrs. Ramos," he hummed. Aini almost corrected him. "It's Vargas on my passport," but stopped herself. "Good morning. Do you want coffee?" "Sure, and maybe an omelette if it's not too much trouble." "My mum says you're an amazing cook." Abini nearly burst out laughing. Last night, that same mum told her friend she couldn't cook at all. "Of course, sweetheart. Go take your shower. I'll make breakfast." While Omari showered, humming loudly, obliviously, Abini turned her phone's recorder on and hid it between the spice jars. Then she took a box of frozen Pre-made pancakes from the freezer heated, them in the microwave, and topped them with whipped cream and jam. She refused to make the omelette out of principle. He could deal. Wow, pancakes. Did you whip those up so early? Omari walked out of the bathroom in a robe toweling his hair. Yes, just for you, she said smoothly. He took a bite and frowned. They're weird. A little rubbery. It's a new recipe. They're low-fat, she replied calmly, setting the coffee in front of him. Oh, Omari shrugged. Well, hey, I was thinking, what if you put, me on the condo paperwork? You know, so I can handle things with the HOA or repairs. Abini lifted her cup and took a slow sip, deliberately dragging out the pause. And why would you need that? I can take care of everything. Or do you think I'm not capable? Oh, no, of course you are, he said quickly. But I mean, I'm the man, the head of the household. Sure, honey. We'll talk about it later. She stood and began clearing the table. I have plans with a friend today. Which friend? His tone sharpened instantly. Zola, you know her. We've been meaning to catch up. Huh? Her? He didn't bother hiding his disapproval. Fine, but don't be late. Mom is coming for dinner. Make something good. Abini smiled sweetly. Of course, love. What does your mother like? She eats everything. Just put some effort into it. First impressions matter. If only he knew the impression his mother had already made, he would have choked on his pancake, but Abini only nodded. Will do. When Omari finally left, supposedly to meet. Friends, though, she was certain he was sprinting. To his mother, to report on the plan, she checked her phone. The recording was perfect, clear, especially the part where he declared himself head of the household with a right to her condo. At 10 sharp, Zola arrived, a freckled redhead carrying a folder like a weapon. All right, Zola said. Which dumpster fire are we putting out today? Abini pressed play. Zola's jaw dropped slowly as she listened to Zola's scheme and Omari's practiced lies. Good Lord, Abini, this is blatant fraud. We can sue them. We can, Abini said quietly, but I don't just want to sue. I want them to learn a lesson they'll never forget. Zola grinned. Whoa, the lioness has finally arrived. I always said you were too damn nice. She tapped the table. Let's see what we've got. Recording of the mother-in-law. Recording of Omari. The condo is in your name, but he put up the money and has receipts. Wait, he formally put up the money? Yes, but it was actually my money. She took a breath. Remember the trust fund my dad set up when I turned 18? It had grown a lot. I gave that money to Omari stupidly as our shared contribution. He withdrew it in cash so it looked like his, and then theatrically handed it to the seller in front of his mother. She shook her head. I thought he just wanted to impress her. And the transfer from your account to his? Zola pressed. All through the bank. Perfect. Zola slapped the folder down. That's our smoking gun. She opened the documents and began outlining the strategy. First, move all your money into accounts Omari doesn't know about. Second, formalise your stake in your father's company, get your name on everything. Third, we gather more evidence. And most important, show nothing. Act like the sweet, clueless little wife until the whole trap is ready. The doorbell rang. Her father arrived with the notary. Kamal Vargas, steady, calm, unshakable in every crisis, walked in first. Good morning. Zola, Abini. I brought Dr. Miller, he'll take care of everything. The notary, a grey-haired man in a perfectly pressed suit, set his briefcase on the table and opened it with practiced precision. So, he said, laying out the documents, we're formalising the donation of 49% of the shares in Vargas Engineering and the transfer of the property located at Republic Avenue. Number 245, correct? Correct, Abini said. And this, her father added, pulling out a second folder, is a power of attorney giving you authority to manage the remaining 51% in case I'm ever temporarily incapacitated. Just in case. As the papers were signed one by one, her father gently pulled her aside. Now, he said quietly, are you going to tell me what's going on? She played the recording. Kamal listened without blinking, his jaw tightening more and more with each passing second. When it ended, he inhaled sharply. Those devils, he muttered, every word squeezed through clenched teeth. Daddy, don't get involved. I'll handle this. He looked at her for a long moment, deeply, painfully proud. I know you can. You're your mother's daughter. Strong, determined. She'd be proud of you. He placed a hand on her shoulder. But if you need anything, I'm right here. By nightfall, every document was finalised. The money was safely moved to new accounts, and Abini's plan, strategic, elegant, devastating, was ready. All she needed now was execution. She headed to the grocery store to buy the dinner ingredients. Zola eats everything. Perfect, she smirked. Oh, she'll eat everything. Absolutely everything. She picked up chicken giblets for broth, the cheapest rice in the store, margarine instead of butter, and with special malicious delight, a can of expired corned beef. She says I can't cook. We'll see. Back at the condo, she set to work. The broth simmered with an excess of bay leaves and peppercorns, so spicy it made her eyes water. The rice she boiled past oblivion until it resembled wallpaper glue. The corned beef she mashed with boiled potato and mayonnaise into a mush that vaguely, from a distance, might pass as tuna salad. And the dessert, her masterpiece, was a layered cake made of dry ladyfingers, and a filling of margarine whipped, with plain sugar. A work of art, she murmured, admiring her sabotage. At 7 Omari arrived. At 7:30, Zola appeared wrapped in a brand new pantsuit, hair immaculate, drenched in expensive perfume. She swept into the condo like royalty entering a palace she already claimed. Abini, darling, she exclaimed, blowing a kiss into the air. How are you two settling in? Happy? Of course you are. And what's for dinner? I haven't eaten all day, you know the diet. With the sweetest, most innocent expression she could muster, Abini began setting the table. The broth came out first. Zola took one sip, coughed immediately, and jerked her head back. What is this? Spices, Abini replied calmly. My grandma's recipe. She was from the countryside. Ah, the countryside, right. Next came the rice, now a greyish, shapeless mass on the plate. Zola stared at it as though it were contagious. It's overcooked rice, Abini explained sweetly. Very good for digestion. I don't think so, thank you. I'm dieting. She didn't touch the tuna salad either, citing a sudden allergy to mayonnaise. And when Abini, practically glowing with triumph, brought out the cake, Zola abruptly rose from her seat. You know, I'm feeling a bit unwell. Must be the stress from yesterday. Omari walked me to the car. As soon as they left, Abini went straight to the window. From there she could see Zola outside, gesticulating wildly, lecturing her son, while he tried, clearly in vain, to defend himself. Finally, Zola got into her car and drove off. Omari came back moments later, frowning deeply. Abini? What was that? What was what? That dinner. You ruined it on purpose. She blinked innocently. Why would you say that? I worked so hard. My mother says they don't even serve food like that in basic training. Excuse me, she said, eyes widening. I didn't know your mother was so delicate. You said she eats everything. Everything, yes, but not trash. The words hit the air like a slap. How dare you talk to me like that, Omari? She whispered. I spent all day cooking for you both. A perfectly timed tear rolled down her cheek. Her college drama classes were finally paying off. Omari's anger dissolved instantly. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I overreacted. It's just my mother is used to a certain standard. I understand, she murmured. Don't worry. I won't cook for your mother again. She can bring her own food if my standard isn't good enough. Come on, don't be like that. I'll take you out tomorrow. We'll see, Abini said softly, heading to their room. The following days drifted by in an odd rhythm. Omari was clearly following his mother's playbook, complaining about small things, questioning every expense, hinting that they should register his share of the condo. Abini played the part of the hurt, submissive wife, while her phone always recording became her most loyal accomplice. One night she caught a treasure. Omari and his friend Malik were drinking in the living room. After the third beer, the truth began to spill. Imagine, Malik, Omari boasted. My old lady set up this plan to take Abini's condo. Genius, right? And the chick? Is she rich or something? Nah, just average. But the condo's in her name and I put up the cash. So in about a year I divorce her, keep the place, and I'm free as a bird. What if she sues you? Sue me where? Her daddy's a working stiff who can't even afford a lawyer. My mum and I will eat her alive in 2 days. From the next room, Abini smiled. Working stiff, you say? We'll see about that, my darling. A week later, she had all she needed. Time for the next phase. Her first call was to her mother-in-law. Zola, it's Abini. I wanted to apologise for that dinner. Could you come over tomorrow? I'm preparing something special. Oh, Abini, I don't know. Please, I want us to improve our relationship. You're like a second mother to me. That last line did exactly what it needed to do. Well, all right, I'll come. But I warn you, I'm very particular about food. Of course, I'll do my best. Then Abini called Zola. Ready for the big day tomorrow? More than ready, Zola replied. I have all the documents and a little gift for your mother-in-law. What gift? You'll see. It's going to be a bombshell. That night, Abini told Omari that his mother had accepted the invitation. Seriously? After that dinner? I convinced her. I told her I want us to get along. Very good. That's the right attitude. Mom loves being respected. I've noticed. She paused thoughtfully. Hey, Omari, what if we invited a few more people? Your friends, maybe. For what? To make it livelier. A family dinner. Good idea. He nodded. I'll invite Malik and his wife. And Talia and Omari. Mom will like that. The next day, Abini truly went all out. She ordered high-end catering, decorated the table with care and even bought fresh flowers. The guests began arriving right at 7. First Malik and Talia, then Omari, and finally fashionably late Zola. Oh, this is lovely, the mother-in-law said, genuinely surprised. Abini, congratulations. Now this is a standard. Everyone took their seats, and soon the toasts and polite compliments started flowing. Zola relaxed enough to begin sharing childhood stories about Omari. Remember, Omari, when you were 5 and you said you'd only marry a princess? Mom, please. Well, it was a sweet wish for a child. Of course you didn't get a princess, but Abini is not bad either. The not bad either lingered in the air like smoke. Abini stood smiling calmly. Friends, I'd like to propose a toast to our family. May honesty, trust and love always guide us. Glasses lifted. Everyone drank. And now Abini continued. Her voice still soft. I want to show you something interesting. It's a recording I made by accident on our wedding day. She pulled out her phone, tapped play, and the audio of Zola's unmistakable voice filled the room. Her phone conversation, clear as daylight. The room sank into a suffocating silence. Only Zola's voice echoed from the phone speaker. The plan is simple. We separate quietly and keep the condo. Zola went white as flour. Omari shot to his feet. Abini, what is that? Where did you get this? Oh, my dearest husband, she said sweetly. I was hiding under the bed. Wanted to play a trick on you, but it turns out you two delivered the real punchline. That's fake. Zola shrieked. It's edited! Really? Abini raised an eyebrow. And is this edited too? She played the recording of Omari bragging to Malik. Talia's face twisted with disgust toward her husband. Then the doorbell. Zola walked in, folder in hand. Good evening. I'm attorney Sila Brooks. Zola, this is for you. She handed her an envelope. Zola's hands trembled as she opened it. What is this? A criminal complaint, Sila replied calmly. I did a little digging. Your late husband's death wasn't as natural as it looked. Zola's breath caught. Healthy man suddenly dies 1 month after signing all assets to you. No autopsy. And you insisted on immediate cremation. Sila leaned closer. Curious, isn't it? Especially when a nurse claims she saw you inject something into his IV. It was a complete bluff. But Zola didn't know that. Her face turned ash-grey. She collapsed into her chair. That's not true, she whispered, shaking. I didn't kill my husband or try to rob my daughter-in-law. Omari stared at her horrified. Mom, is any of this true? About Dad? Omari, son, it's all lies, she cried. Your father was sick. Everything was for you, always for you. The condo with Abini for you. Abini stepped forward. Omari, here are the documents. The transfer from my account to yours. The money I saved that you used for the condo. And here she added, handing him another document, my father's tax return. Chief engineer at a defence firm. A salary that would make your mother faint. She held up another folder. And these are the papers for our real condo downtown, not the rundown place your mother visited by mistake. She took a breath. And you know what? I could call the police right now for fraud. But I won't. Omari's lips trembled. Why? Because I'm not like you, she said quietly. You get one chance. Zola stands up, leaves this home and disappears from my life and from yours. If I ever hear her name in my orbit again, all of this goes straight to the police. And not just the condo fraud. Zola staggered to her feet, Omari's son. Go, Mom, he said, voice hollow. Just go. She left without another word. The guests were frozen. Talia finally stood. Malik, we're leaving, and we will be talking about your part in this. They left. Omari muttered something and fled. Only Zola, Omari and Abini remained. Abini, Omari began. Don't, she said. Just pack your things. You'll get the divorce papers tomorrow. Can't we try to fix... Fix what? She snapped. The lies. The betrayal. The fact that you and your mother tried to rob me. Thought I was ignorant? No, Omari, you don't fix that. He packed silently and came to the door half an hour later. I didn't want to. It was Mum's idea, he whispered. No, Omari, you're a grown man. Your choices are your own. Leave. He left. Only then did Abini allow herself to cry. Zola hugged her. You're incredible, girl. A warrior. I loved him, Zola, Abini whispered. I actually loved him. I know, but better to learn the truth now than later. The divorce was quick, quiet. Omari made no claims. Zola vanished. Rumour said she'd moved in with her sister in Savannah. Months passed. Abini healed slowly. One afternoon while drinking coffee with Zola, a tall man with honey-brown eyes walked in. He paused at the counter, ordered, and their eyes met. He smiled. She smiled back. What are you thinking about? Zola teased. Nothing. Sure. He approached their table. Excuse me, ladies, mind if I sit here? No other tables free. Of course, Zola said quickly, kicking Abini under the table. He opened his laptop. Blueprints glowed on the screen. Are you an engineer? Abini blurted out. Yes, design engineer. He smiled warmly. You too? By training. Now procurement. Colleagues, then. I'm Jelani Abini. They talked effortlessly. He mentioned he'd worked at the same research centre her mother once had. Feeling the energy between them, Zola excused herself with a wink. They stayed until closing. As they stepped outside, he said, I'd love to continue this conversation. May I have your number? She gave it to him. I'll call tomorrow. She actually believed he would. And he did. Jazz club. Concert. Walks in Piedmont Park. Dinner in intimate places. He was everything Omari wasn't. Steady, honest, warm. On their third date, she told him about her marriage. He listened without interruption. Your ex-husband, he said finally, is a fool. Any normal mother-in-law would have thanked God for a woman like you. She blushed. Are you exaggerating? Not even a little. He took her hand. And I'm glad he was a fool. Otherwise, I would never have met you. A month later, he introduced her to his mother, Nala, a gentle, educated woman who welcomed her instantly. One evening, months later, Abini and Galani crossed paths with Omari at a park. He looked worn down, walking with a new partner and a small boy. Hello, Abini, he said quietly. Hello, Omari. He apologized. She accepted gracefully without reopening wounds. When he walked away, she knew she felt nothing but peace. Time passed. Love grew. 6 months later, Galani proposed at home during dinner. Simple, sincere, perfect. She said yes through tears and laughter. Their wedding was intimate, filled with warmth. Her father whispered your mother would be proud. Nala embraced her with joy. Their marriage was gentle and real. Abini never hid under a bed again, their private joke for years. A year later, she learned she was pregnant. Galani lifted her and spun her around like a child. They welcomed a daughter near, the joy of all grandparents. Years later came Kai, then little Sarafina. Life became sweet, steady, full. One day in a baby store, 7 months pregnant, Abini ran into Zola. She looked older, smaller, defeated. Yes, Abini said softly, this is my baby, with my husband. Omari can't have children, Zola whispered. She looked broken, working as a clerk, living with her sister, abandoned by Omari. Abini felt pity, human reluctant pity. Can't forgive you, she said gently. But I don't blame you anymore, Zola cried. Take care of your happiness. Don't repeat my mistakes. At home, she told Galani everything. You did right, he said. Letting go is not forgiving, it's freeing yourself. Years passed. Their children grew. Abini and Galani thrived. One evening, Zola arrived celebrating a new legal victory, ironically over a lawyer named Zola Ramos. She became a lawyer, Abini murmured, stunned. And lost spectacularly, Zola added. But Abini only felt quiet respect. She rebuilt her life, she said softly. That takes strength. You're a saint, Zola muttered. No, Abini smiled. Just happy. Happy people don't hold grudges. Later that night, on the balcony, wrapped in Galani's arms, she saw a shooting star. Make a wish, he whispered. Do you wish when you already have everything? She wondered. She wished only for her children that their lives might spare them heartbreak. The next morning, the kids piled into bed for zoo day. They were a whirlwind of joy Nia's curiosity, Kai's tenderness, Serafina's bright giggles. At the zoo, Nia asked Mom, "How did you and Dad meet?" "Dad asked to sit at our table," Galani said. "How boring," she replied. Kai shrugged. "Real is better than fairy tales." That night, Abini opened her laptop. A headline flashed. "Renowned attorney Zola Ramos wins, major real estate fraud case." Zola in the photo looked transformed, composed, professional, purposeful. "What are you reading?" Galani asked. "Nothing," she said softly. "Just the irony of fate." He kissed her head, and life continued imperfect, unpredictable, beautiful. Abini closed the laptop gently. The past was behind her, quiet, distant, and finally harmless. Everyone walked their own path, learned their own lessons, found their own redemption. She had learned hers the night she hid under the bed at a wedding that was never even consummated. She learned not to trust blindly, to protect herself, to stand her ground. But above all, she learned not to lose her ability to love, to believe in goodness, and to choose happiness again. Somewhere in a parallel universe, there was another Abini who never crawled, under the bed who never overheard that phone call, who lived in deception for another year or two, endured a brutal divorce, and lost faith in people. But in this world, in this life, everything was different. A prank, a single instinct to hide, had shifted the axis of her destiny. "What are you thinking about?" Galani asked softly. "How strange everything is," she murmured. "How one tiny moment can change an entire life." "The butterfly effect," he said. She smiled. "Yes, and my butterfly was hiding under a bed." He laughed, kissed her forehead. "And bless that butterfly," she added. "Bless her." They turned off the light and slipped into bed. In the next room, the children breathed in the deep, even rhythm of sleep. Outside, the city murmured in the distance. Inside, peace settled like warm light on the walls, the kind of peace that only exists in a home built on love and trust. The next morning, the phone rang. "Princess," her father's voice said, excited. "I have news." "Kamal, what is it?" "Well," he hesitated, something rare for him. "Irene from the design office and we're dating." Abini almost dropped the phone. Her father hadn't been with anyone since her mother died 15 years ago. "Daddy, that's wonderful." She smiled through sudden emotion. "Are you really okay with it?" Her father exhaled, relieved. "Of course. Your mother would have wanted me to be happy."